Obviously, the producers are well aware of some of the weed resistance issues that are popping up, or that have been, I guess, infecting large numbers of acres in the southeastern United States. Most of the interest, of course, here is centered around Roundup-resistant weeds or glyphosate-resistant weeds, particularly the Palmer amaranth pigweed. There are a number of other weed species that have also shown resistance. We've not had an issue with these in Texas for the most part over the last several years, largely due to the fact that in much of our acreage where we use Roundup herbicide, we also use a number of soil active chemistries such as the trifluralin or other yellow herbicides in cotton, atrazine in some of our corn acreages and what have you, and this has helped us to manage a lot of these resistant issues by throwing a different mode of action in the mix, so to speak. There's no question about the fact that I think we will have some issues with weed resistance in the state of Texas. We currently have a couple hits for both glyphosate or Roundup resistance with common water hemp, which is becoming a big issue for us here in central Texas relative to that particular weed species. And also to the ALS group of herbicides, which is a huge group of herbicide chemistry that's used widely in a number of crops. The point, I guess, that I'd like to stress most of all is that we've got to do two things. First of all, from our standpoint, we have to look at some of these alternative chemistries to see if they're going to perform up to snuff, and this is what we're doing out here. To where if resistance of a given weed species, and either whether that's the Palmer amaranth pigweed or whether that's the common water hemp, we've got to have in our back pocket recommendations to provide our growers to manage the weeds that will become an issue for us if they can no longer use these herbicides or the glyphosate products in particular to control a number of different weed species. In addition, we also need to demonstrate or show them the particular herbicide programs or combinations of herbicides that can keep them from having a resistance issue. Because if we continue to go down the single herbicide use path to where we're using glyphosate products or Roundup products year after year after year on crop after crop after crop and not putting another herbicide chemistry in the program, whether it's in corn or cotton or what have you, we will develop resistance issues, and we'll have populations of common water hemp or Palmer amaranth pigweed, for example, that can create a real mess in the first year of them showing up. When you consider the fact that either one of these weed species can shed anywhere from 200 to 500,000 seed, it doesn't take long to understand that if you have that kind of, even a small percentage of that population that remains viable out there, you can have a heck of a mess and really nothing to control it, because by the time you realize that you have a resistance issue, the weeds are well beyond I guess the stage of growth where we have a lot of alternative herbicides to take them out. You know, when they're 10, 12 inches tall, selectively out of corn or cotton, that's going to be a tall order. So again, that's why we are stressing a preventative approach to this by using some different herbicide combinations and modes of action in both corn and cotton, for example, and also, again, developing recommendations if it does become an issue for us.